Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. We are going to be reviewing the next film I saw. I saw a while back ago. I'm still trying to catch up on my film reviews. I had a lot of issues with my camera, so thank you for those who have been patient about it and with me through it. I did finally post my Final Destination Bloodlines review. I'll link it down below. I'll link the whole 2025 film review playlist down below. But finally got that out. That just took so long, and I think I was making it longer than it had to be. So I had to cut it down quite a bit. But today we are filming my next film I saw, which is Bring Her Back. And this film, I loved it. I think if I were ranking films so far this year, I can't actually remember anything else I've watched besides these three I keep trying to make reviews on. So I'm gonna have to even look back at my playlist and see what films I've even seen this year, because I can't remember anything but these three because I've been so trying to get these out and it's been such a headache. But the three I've seen, Final Destination Bloodlines, Bring Her Back, and then the next one, not gonna talk about it yet. This is my favorite. So far, this is my favorite from 2025. It stood out the most for me. I absolutely love it. Bring Her Back is rated R. It's an hour and 39 minutes. It was released May 30th, 2025. Producers are Samantha Jennings and Christina Caton. The budget was $15 million. And the director it's their second film by Danny and Michael Phillips. I think I said their names wrong. They first filmed their debut film was Talk to Me, and that film got to me. Let's just say that was a great first film, and this one is, I think, so much better. I have watched Talk to Me twice, but this one I wanted to watch it twice. So I think I watched Talk to Me twice just because, you miss things every single time and you pick up more things as you watch a film. This one, not only did I pick up more things, but I wanted to watch this one again, and it's now streaming. So I'm kind of making my reviews now more so when they go out and streaming. That way it's not fully spoiler review, because you guys can go watch it, and I highly recommend you guys watch it. And I'm gonna go ahead and just get the grading out of the way. It's an A+ for me. I loved everything about it, and I want to go see it the most. So I actually, if they come out with a hard copy of this film, I want to own it. And I want to see the behind the scenes, how they made everything, because Talk to Me disturbed me so much, especially with the dog scene. If you know Talk to Me, that film, I honestly didn't know if I even wanted to support that film, support the directors, anything like that. That's great that they're from YouTube and now they're making films. That's awesome. Which my question to that, not question, but my curiosity in that is, great on them. That's awesome. But I am still waiting on Chris Stuckman's film, debut film, Shelby Oaks, to come out. When are we going to get that? I really hope sometime soon, because I've been waiting on that one. That would be great. That would be, I think, really known. Chris Stuckman's film is out there, and I cannot wait for that day. But these two, I'm very proud of them. And I really like Talk to Me, but that bulldog scene, I could not get past it. But they finally showed the behind the scenes and how they made it, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Okay, no animals were hurt in the making of any of their films. I should have known, but they make them really good, even scenes in this, and we'll get into it. So, Bring Her Back is about a brother and sister who witness a terrifying ritual at a secluded home of their new foster mother. The cast is Sally Hawkins as Laura, Billy Barratt as Andy, Sora Wong as Piper, Jonah Wren Phillips as Oliver, also as he also plays the character of Connor Bird. We'll explain all that. Stephen Phillips as Phil, and Sally Ann Upton as Wendy. So this film, I did not, again, this year, I've really been enjoying, again, with these three films, really been enjoying not watching the trailers, not knowing what it's going to be about, except for the next film. I did watch that one. It's trailer. And you kind of know what that one's about, because it's a third film in the series, but these two films bring her back. I had no idea what it was going to be about. I do think if I saw snippets of a trailer, I kept seeing Jonah, Wren, Phillips' character Oliver, like turning around and just looking like a corpse, looking demented. And I honestly thought it was a little girl. And I think that's because of Stranger Things, how Millie Bobby Brown, Levin's character, you know, shaved her head, had a shaved head. I thought it was a little girl. So, and then it says bring her back. So I just assumed this film was going to be about this little girl passes and we're trying to bring her back. And it is about a passing and trying to bring a girl back, but that's not who was in the trailer. That's not who that character was. But we start the film with, let's see, we started very, very interestingly, and I think it's part of the production logo, but I also wonder if it was part of the film, because it opens with a fetus, I believe in a circle, and it says the production name, and it also says in tiny letters, which reminds me of a band. I don't know if I can say the band because the lead singer of that band is like every celebrity right now being accused of certain acts and stuff, but they're one of my favorite bands, unfortunately. But they also put in their music videos in tiny letters, "This is not a cult." And that reminded me of that, and I was like, what is this? What are we about to get into? But I think that's just a production label, but it shows basically a ritual of some people going through kind of torturous stuff, demented stuff, and it shows a lady recording it, and it shows one of the victims have a little scar underneath her eye, and she just looks demented. And then I think, and that's when it ripples in water, bring her back, and I love the way the font is, because it's like bring her, and then back is backwards, bring her back. I'm like, that's genius. But we start the actual film and story plot with Piper's character. Now Piper is partially blind, and even the actress is, and she did an amazing job in this. But Piper's at the bus stop waiting for her brother to come pick her up, but in the meantime she tries to make friends with some girls, and kids can be kind of cruel, and she goes over trying to talk to them, trying to make small talk, and they're like kind of entertaining her a little bit, like yeah, okay. But then her brother comes there, and she's like, oh yeah, he's like a pedophile, and they're like, okay, let's go to the mall. And he's like, stop saying that stuff about me, like just brother sister little quips to each other. But she asks her brother, she's like, did they like me? And he can tell that they're like making fun of her for her eyesight and everything. And he's like, yeah, they did. And she's like, grapefruit. And they use this term, grapefruit. It's kind of like what I say. I'm always like Bible. Like if someone's like, I think someone's lying. And my sister and I really do that one together, that like if we're saying something and it's like, can you believe this? It's like Bible, like truth. Like, are you serious? So their little word is grapefruit. And so that means be honest with me. And he says something funny about like, well, one of them was dressed kind of funny anyway. So like, who cares about them basically? So they go home, and as Andy, the older brother, is fixing his car because the little rear view mirror keeps breaking, and that keeps happening throughout the whole movie. But he's trying to fix it when Piper comes out, and she's like, something's wrong with Dad, because she's knocking on the door and he always answers her, or he always comes out no matter what, and he wasn't answering. So they go up there and the door's locked, so they have to break down the door. And remember, Piper's blind, so she really has to rely on Andy telling her what's going on. But Andy sees, and we see, their dad, Phil, passed away, kind of half in the shower, half not. He's completely naked. And instead of Andy being like, oh my god, it's dad, like step away, da da da, I think he just went into shock. Because we find out there's more of a reason he's scared of the shower and his dad anyway. But in this moment, he's just like, dad's dead. And it never really confirms what happened to the dad, but he's like foaming at the mouth. It looks like he just kind of, I don't know, we just know he's dead. And so Piper's like, Andy, what's wrong? Andy, tell me. Andy, talk to me. And he's not answering. So she gets on the ground and she feels her dad dead on the ground. So with their dad being passed away, I believe their mom passed away before the film started. I believe so. Don't quote me on that. I could be wrong about it, but she's not in the picture, so I'm assuming she passed. But or I think, wait, we don't know. But they're waiting to see what's going to happen to them because Wendy, the child service lady, tells them that Piper already has a lady interested in adopting or fostering her, while Andy is going to be taken, I think, to either a juvenile or just some institution until he reaches the age 18, where he can then file for parental guidance of Piper. And he's like, no, we're going to stay together. She needs me. And she's like, okay, but this foster mom doesn't want any troublemakers. And Piper's kind of like, what? He's not a troublemaker. And he's like, I promise I'll be on my best behavior. So while they're waiting for that information to come back on if they can stay together, they have to split up. They hear a plane go overhead, and Andy's like, well, there goes dad. And it's kind of sweet because when someone passes and then you hear a plane, it's kind of like them leaving this earth and going to heaven, possibly. Just leaving, I guess. So, going to a better place, going on their next adventure. So it's just kind of a kind way for Piper to feel better about the whole situation. But it turns out that the new foster mom agrees to have Andy there, even though she doesn't want troublemakers. And their new foster mom is named Laura. And Laura is played by Sally Hawkins, and she does a fabulous job because the main thing I've seen her in is Paddington, the Paddington series, where she is a sweet mother, so kind, so sweet, so innocent, and did not expect to see a performance like this from her. But she welcomes them in, and there's a lot of funny parts to it because she obviously didn't really want Andy there. She has a whole idea in her head that did not involve having Andy be there. She wanted Piper. And so she's like, oh, let's take a group picture. And she stands right in front of Andy, takes the picture. She's like, oh, look at it. And yeah, she's like completely blocking Andy in the picture. It's like, okay, rude, but whatever. But Andy's not going to say anything because Piper's so happy just to even, have an opportunity to be with someone, to be living with someone. So she is kind of interesting, Laura, because she's like, oh, do you also want to meet the dog? And they're like, yeah, I want to meet the dog. Well, the dog is passed away, and he has been taxidermied, which, not to scare anyone, but I've also been really interested in taxidermy myself, but I just never actually dove into it or learned anything about it. And I really don't know anyone who does it, but it's just kind of creepy because she had him on display and was like having Piper pet the dog and then like woofing at her like wah, 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 wah. It's like, I may be interested, but that's kind of weird. And it also makes you wonder if she stuffs or keeps anything else that could have been passed away. Because then they realize that the carpets are taped down just like how their carpets are taped down, and their carpets were taped down because Piper is blind. So she doesn't trip on stuff. She has a cane, even though she never uses a cane in the film. She just doesn't want to be treated differently. But Andy's like, why are your carpets taped down? Is that for Piper? And Laura says, no, that's for my daughter. And he's like, oh, can we meet her? And she's like, no, because she's dead. And so she lost her daughter. She drowned in the pool in the backyard. And he's like, oh, I'm so terribly sorry. She's like, oh, it's okay. Well, I don't know what she's, well, then they go outside and there's a cat. I can't remember the cat's name. I'm so sorry to the cat. If I look it up and I remember, it's going to be written down below. But Laura's like, whatever you do, don't let the cat out, as they're opening the door and the cat's walking out. And so they're like, shit, we have to go find the cat. And they're looking for the cat when all of a sudden you hear the cat screaming. It's like, and all that stuff. And Andy goes to follow where the cat's sound is from. And that's where we see the little boy. Not the little girl with the shaved head, but the little boy with the shaved head. And we find out his name is Oliver. And this is so weird because to me, because the child service lady never mentioned that Laura had another child living with her. You would think it's like, oh, she doesn't want troublemakers because she already has a difficult child on her hands. She didn't mention anything like that. They made it seem like she just wanted Piper. That was it. But there's Oliver, and he's strangling the cat, and you can tell there's a few screws loose because he's just holding on to this cat. It's scratching the ever daylights out of him, and he's just like gone. And so Laura comes out and she's like, put the cat down, like da 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 da. And they're like, who is he? And they're like, oh, she says, this is Oliver. He's been mute ever since my daughter passed. So she had a daughter and Oliver, and then I think, unless she's lying about that, I don't know, but according to her story, she had her daughter and Oliver. The daughter passed, and now she's fostering Piper and, unfortunately, Andy. She didn't want to foster him, but that's her predicament. So they go back inside, and she's showing them around the house. And again, she's really weird to Andy. She's like, oh, Piper, here's your room. It's the same room my daughter, gosh, I didn't write her name. It's the same room my daughter had, the same room my daughter Katie had. And it's still set up as if Katie is still there or never left, like it's still intact. And Andy's like trying to come in just to see, and she's like, your room's down there. And he's like, okay, cool, I guess, but he wants to be close to Piper just to make sure she's okay. But he goes into his room, and he's texting his friend, and he's contacting his friend on Snapchat. She has this weird ass kid named Oliver. He's a fucking weirdo. And Laura comes in, and she's like, I'm a psychiatrist, and people pay to come see me, so you don't have to be so weird around me if you want to let your walls down and talk to me. He's like, I'm fine. And she's like, okay, well, if ever you change your mind. Well, then Piper starts talking to them through the wall. She's like, can you guys hear me? So Andy forgets about his phone. He leaves on the bed, I guess with Snapchat open, and he leaves on the bed, and he goes to talk to Piper, and he's like, yeah, I can hear you, da 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 da. Well, Laura is over there snooping, and is reading his previous message. And Andy gets upset, and he does have a history, we're going to find out later, he does have a history of rage, violence a little bit. Something that was definitely done onto him that he sometimes loses control over. So when he sees Laura with his phone, he gets upset, and he's like, what are you doing? And he like kind of, he doesn't push her against the wall, but he like, you see someone, he's much taller than Laura, and he's coming straight at her, so she backs up into a wall. She's like, oh, I'm sorry. And he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like startle you, scare you, like, I apologize. He's like, but that is my phone. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't. And she's like, you got a message, so I just, guess I just happened to read it. And so she starts leaving, and she turns around, she's like, so Oliver's a fucking weirdo. And he's like, kind of. Oh, I've been like, yeah, I mean, he's trying to kill your cat, bruh. Like, you don't think that's weird, but he's just like, shit. Shit, she knows, like, what I was saying. So it's kind of a weird vibe between them two. Not only has she been trying to ignore Andy, now he's kind of shown a little bit of rage to her, and he's talking shit about her foster kid. So it's not going too well. Well, the next day, or the next scene, I don't know if it's the next day or not, but they go to Phil's funeral, their dad's funeral, and Piper is asking Andy, does he look okay? Because it's an open casket. And Andy's not looking. He's just like, yeah, he looks fine. And she's like, grapefruit? And he's still not looking. He's like, and grapefruit, remember, means like Bible, like, you serious? You swear? Like you're actually looking? You're not lying to me? But Andy's still looking up, and he's like, even with her saying grapefruit, he's like, yeah, he looks fine. Yeah, he looks great. He looks very peaceful. So she feels better about the whole situation. Well, Laura, who is not dressed for a funeral, is wearing bright purple while everybody else is wearing black. She comes up to Andy and Piper, and she's like, hey, Andy, I really think it'd be important, because remember, she's a psychiatrist, and she's like, I think it'd be really important if you actually told your father goodbye. And Piper's like, wait, you did see him, you told me that. And he's like, well, I don't know. And she's like, I even said grapefruit. And so Laura, like, tells him he has to say goodbye. So he goes back and he looks at him. And yeah, Phil actually did look okay for a dead person. He didn't look bad. I've never been to an open casket. My father was cremated, and so I've never seen someone like that. I wouldn't want to look either, and I'd be like, no, if that was me. If you have, cool, that's great, but I just have never been in that predicament. Um, but he does look, and yeah, Phil looks actually pretty good. But then Laura gets weird with it, and she's like, you need to kiss your father goodbye. It's custom. And he's like, I guess. Like, I guess. So he kisses Phil on the forehead. And while he's down there kissing him on the forehead, Laura's like, on the lips. And I'm like, ew. Like, at that point, oh, why? Like, I still don't even understand that to the custom and stuff, to the ritual she is trying to do. I don't know where she got that part from. But she's like, you need to kiss him on the lips. And he's like, no. And she's like, it's custom. He's like, no, it ain't. And she's like, yes, it is. And he gets too overstimulated. And he's like, he walks away. He's like, yeah, fuck this shit. But Laura, being the weirdo she is, she bends over and kisses Phil on the lips. Weird, interesting choice. Well, on the car ride home, she's like, let's not be so gloomy. And Piper's upset at Andy because remember, he kind of lied to her for the first time. So she's like, what do you guys like to do for fun? And Piper's like, kick Andy in the nuts. And she's like, okay. And how about you, Andy? And he's like, oh, get trashed. And she's like, okay, let's go home and get trashed. And this is actually a fun scene. They actually kind of bonded during this scene. And yes, they do drink alcohol, and Piper even drinks. And some people may have an issue with that, but I was always like kind of taught more on the side, like, I'd rather you drink under my roof than go out and drink. So I saw no problems with this, but I mean, she did get pretty trashed. She's like 12 years old, I think. So she did get kind of wasted. And oh yes, the very first night, going back before the funeral, the very first night, Andy woke up and he peed his pants because his pants are wet with urine. So he's already like, he's seen a lot. His dad was dead. Like, he walked in on his dad being dead. And there's other stuff we're about to find out, but that is noteworthy. Remember, bookmark that. We're going to come back to it. Well, after Piper passes out, Laura tries again. She's like, if you want to talk, we can talk. I don't even have to look at you. We can sit back to back and just, whatever you want to say, and I can talk about stuff too. You can ask me anything. So they sit back to back. I don't know why I can't use my hands sometimes. They sit back to back, and he asks her what happened with their daughter. And this scene made me cry. It made me tear up and cry. I was alone when I watched this film. I didn't see it with a friend, sister, husband. I just went by myself, and it was very emotional. And I'm going to explain toward the end. I actually really feel for Laura. Not the psychotic part, but she explains what happened and how she would give anything to just hear her daughter call her mom one last time. And that actress and Sally Hawkins just acted it out so well, just like the pauses and the trying to control your breathing while feeling like you're about to cry, kind of like what I'm doing right now. 'Cause any mother-daughter situation especially, but anything maternal, I've become a completely different person since becoming a mom, and all this stuff just really gets to me now. But it's such a good scene. So she opens up, and she opened up really well. So that allowed Andy to feel comfortable with her. So he starts talking about his dad, and he reveals his dad used to beat him pretty often, and he would use the shower as to turn the shower up really high to block out the sound of him beating him up. But he never hit Piper. The dad never hit Piper. And so Laura reveals something she knows about Andy, which could be a reason she didn't want to take him on. And she's like, is this why you hit Piper? Now, according to a lot of reviews, many people don't think that means that's why Piper is partially blind. From my viewing experience when I watched this, that's what I put together. That Andy, kind of in the jealous rage, did hit Piper and cause her to become partially blind. But that's why he's so protective of her. He vows to never hurt her again. It's not confirmed. I don't know. I haven't watched any interviews with the directors, but that's just from my perspective. But a lot of reviewers say they don't think that's why she's partially blind, and she's probably born with it. But I don't know. I have no idea. But he did hit her. And he's like, how do you know that? And she's like, Wendy had to disclose it to me. So it was hard to hear both stories, but it made sense, and I think it helped create some form of a bond for them. But he ends up passing out because of all the alcohol. And not only that, we find out Laura may have been sneaking something in his canteen as well. We will find out later. But he really passes out because, like, when he sleeps, he sleeps. And we see the scene where she asks Andy, are you asleep? And he's out. So she goes to the bathroom, and she lifts up her skirt, and she grabs a jar, puts the jar down, lifts up her skirt, squats over the jar, and she urinates in the jar. And I'm like, the only time I ever had to do anything close to that was when I had the kidney stone situation, and I had to empty out the bucket that my catheter was in. But I don't know what she's doing. Well, she has a kidney stone. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. But she takes the jar of urine, and while Andy is dead asleep, she pours the urine on his pants. So when he wakes up the next morning, he also is salivating quite a lot, which I do as well. I'm like, that's kind of me. Like, I slobber too in my sleep sometimes. But I mean, he's like drooling in his sleep. So he wakes up, completely drool-filled pillow, and he sees, once again, he pissed his pants. So he's annoyed, but he's kind of embarrassed. So he wraps it all up in his bed sheets, and he goes to do the laundry. Well, when he goes to do the laundry, Laura's in there doing her laundry, and she's like, oh, you got some laundry? He's like, no, I'll be back. And she's like, oh, come on, just hand it over. And so she takes it, and Piper's like, we're going to go to the mall, just have a nice girls' day. And then Laura's like, there's piss on your pants. And Piper's like, ha, 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 ha. But Laura kind of gives him a sympathetic, like, I understand you're going through a lot. This could probably be a sign of trauma. And it's kind of building up that Andy may not be doing so well. So she's like, why don't you go take a shower? So he's like, okay. She tells Piper, she's like, I don't think your brother's doing too well. I think there's something wrong with him. But really, remember, she poured the pee on his pants. Remember that. So they go out to the mall, and she tells Andy, whatever you do, do not let Oliver out of his room. So Andy goes to take a shower, but he has so much PTSD, not only from all the times that his dad would use the shower to muffle the sounds of him beating him up, but also finding his father deceased in the shower. He can't take a shower. It's too traumatic. So he goes outside to wash up at the little drain thing outside. And while he's out there, Oliver sees a fly on his window, and he hits the fly. He smushes it on the window, which gets Andy's attention. Andy stands up and like waves to him. But then Oliver starts eating the fly, and Andy's like, oh, the poor little child must be hungry. So he goes upstairs, and he's like, I'm gonna, help him out. He tries to open the door, and he's like, are you locked in there? Did she lock you in? So he goes downstairs, gets a knife, unlocks the door, and he brings Oliver downstairs to have some cantaloupe. I've never, ever, I would never ever hand anyone food on a knife, and my daughter, who is just, oh gosh, she's gonna be like 22 months tomorrow, but when she was a baby, like just learning how to hold things, her grandma, not on my side of the family, but on my husband's side of the family, handed her like she picked up a knife, and instead of, I was trying to take the knife away. I was like, no, you can't play with knives. His, her grandma was just like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, no, you cannot have a baby pick up a knife and play with it. And I got very upset, and I'm sorry if that was like me being very mean motherly, but like, no. So this is why I will show her the scene next time, because he's asking Oliver questions and he's not talking because remember, he's mute. He's like, how long have you been like this? Of course, he doesn't answer, but he makes signs like he wants to write it. So Andy's like, oh, that's a great idea. How about you write it? He gets him a pad and paper, a paper and pen, and Oliver is hungry, so he's like, okay, this is gonna have to be a trade. You need to write something in order to get the cantaloupe. And he's holding the cantaloupe on a knife. Well, I'm talking like Michael Myers type of knife. But Oliver just takes the knife and starts like putting the cantaloupe towards his mouth, and he's like, oh, whatever, you can't really do deals with kids. So Andy turns around and he's like, hold on, let me find something better for you to eat that cantaloupe with. And you hear in the background, it's showing Andy looking through all the utensils and stuff. But you hear a little munching on the cantaloupe, and then you hear clang, clang, clang. And he's like, the fuck is that? So he looks over. Oliver, oh my world, this scene. My jaw dropped. I was like, oh my god. Oliver is eating the knife. And I don't mean like, so knives are like this. I'm not going to pull out a knife and actually do this. But he doesn't eat it flat. He has it stuck this way, like, when the blade is this way to you. So he's eating the knife, and it starts getting stuck on the roof of his mouth. And it starts cutting his teeth out. Oh, the sounds, the visuals, everything. And he starts screaming. He's like, ah. And Andy has to go over and yank the freaking knife out. And it's like, fuck. Like, shit, I let this kid out. She told me not to let this kid out, and now, fuck. So he started running out to go take him to the hospital. Well, also, I forgot to mention that when they got there, they also noticed this white powder around the house. And turns out that is in a circular form. Remember, the very first scene we see, which could have been the production logo, I don't know, was a fetus in a circle. So remember, circles. So the house is in a circle white powder. Well, Andy, as he's taking Oliver out, Oliver starts like putting on brakes with his feet, and he's like, whoa, 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 like, no, I don't want to go. He crosses over the powdered line, and Oliver just starts convulsing, screaming, and Andy's like, what the hell is going on? He looks at Oliver's stomach, and it is straight up vibrating. Like there is something inside of him angry and trying to get out, and it's like shaking inside of him. And Andy's like, what the fuck? And right at that moment, Laura and Piper pull back up, and Laura is furious. She's like, what are you doing? Why is he outside? Why is he outside? And I think at this time too, the cat runs away again, but that's such a minor part. But he's like, why is he outside? Why is he outside? I missed a whole entire part. I'm gonna have to re-edit this. I don't know when the scene will have happened. Oh, the night of them being drunk, Oliver was outside because he's hungry and he's looking for food. He tries to get into the chicken coop. He wasn't able to get into the chicken coop, but I think that's the night he finds the cat's tail. It's the cat's tail. And he got out of his room by breaking the glass, so his hand's bleeding. So Laura finds him and she goes to give him a bath, and she asks him, am I doing this right? And he's not saying anything because, again, he's mute. And she's like, how do I know this is going to work and that you're in there if you're not showing me any signs? And the fountain starts like boiling, and she looks over in the mirror to where it is and where the mirror is, and you hear Oliver making a cat sound. He starts going, and the mirror cracks, and right before it does, you see his face contort into a demonic being with horns, and then the window cracks. There's a reason, and I'll explain why he sounded like a cat, but remember, he did eat the cat tail. So she brings him back inside, back to the regular edit. She brings him back inside, and she locks him in her room, and she starts playing the old videotapes, the tapes we saw at the beginning. And there was a child on there, there's a person on there that looked just like in his state, freaking out, convulsing, and this person started putting circles around the head, drawing circles on the forehead. So she starts drawing circles on Oliver's forehead because Oliver started asking her questions. Remember, he's been mute. But he started going like, who are you? Where am I? What's going on? So that's when she frantically watches this, and she starts drawing the circles, and he goes back to out of it mode. And so she's really mad at Andy, and she's like, you need to respect my space. And I'm kind of like, yeah, like how you respected my space when my phone was on the bed and you read my Snapchat message. Eye for an eye, you know what I mean? But let's see what happens next. Oh, another edit at the funeral. Not only did she kiss Phil on the lips, but she also, when no one was around, she did cut a piece of his hair. So while she's drawing the circles, she also feeds Oliver the hair that she had cut off of Phil at the funeral. And later, let's see, Andy is finally taking a shower, and when he's in the shower, someone comes in and comes straight up to the glass, and it's his dad, who's not alive anymore, and he says she's going to die in the rain. And he's like, the fuck is going on? So he gets out of the shower, and he hits his head, falls unconscious, and goes to the hospital. And I think this movie at this point, it gets kind of badly edited, or things I can tell were cut out, because at first he's in the hospital, and at one point Laura goes to the hospital, but we never see how he got to the hospital, when she went to the hospital, and she's at the hospital and it's raining. And this whole time Laura's been like waiting out in the pool, like as if she's waiting on rain. She'll look at the clouds and like it's dreary looking, but it hasn't been raining. Well, tonight it's raining. So she goes to the hospital and she asks Andy basically like what happened. He's like, I saw my dad. And she's like, Dad? What did he say? And he's like, she'll die in the rain, so we need to take care of Piper. I need to get home to get back to Piper. And she's like, she says something, and I believe what she says. A lot of people are like, maybe that was just part of his hallucination. Again, from my perspective, I believe what she said. And she says, are you sure this isn't just a hallucination from when I killed your dad? And he's like, what? She's like, from when your dad died. So it's like, did he hallucinate her say, when I killed your dad? I don't think so. I think she did. That's my opinion. But, so then next scene, she's just back at the house, and she's watching old videotapes of her daughter near a pool. And Piper comes in, they watch them together, they watch the tapes together, just reminiscing. But they end up going outside, playing in the water, playing in the rain, and she takes Piper to the locked shed that's been locked this entire time. She takes her there and gives her a sweater that Katie used to have, her daughter used to have, and she asks Piper, are you happy here? She's like, yeah, we're happy here. She's like, so do you think when Andy turns 18, you would like to stay with me? And Katie's like, no, we'll visit. We'll still visit, but we want to stay together. And you see this look of damn on Laura's face, because I don't think, again, as a mother, as me, like I kind of partly understand her, and I don't think she wanted to do everything, that final thing she had to do, that was part of this ritual. But with her saying she wouldn't want to stay with her free willingly, she's like, okay, well that sucks. Well anyway, there's something else I want to show you. And remember, Piper's partially blind, so she leads her over to a fridge area, and she's having her touch it, and Oliver's there, just creepishly looking in the background. But she starts touching it, and she's like, oh, that's cold, and it's weird. What is this? And she's like, it's just me. It's Katie's dead body that she's been freezing the whole time. Because again, she keeps dead corpses like her dog. Told you that would come back around. But Piper doesn't know this because she can't see it, so she trusts that's just me. Well, Andy comes back, and they basically have like a head-on collision happen, him and Laura, and he ends up freaking out on her. Oh, wait, no. And that night, he goes to talk to Piper. He gets home late, and he goes to talk to just watch Piper sleeping. Normal, not that bizarre behavior. He hasn't seen her in a while, and he's worried about her. So he just goes and makes sure she's sleeping okay. And as he's watching her, Laura's like, that's kind of creepy, isn't it, Andy? And he's like, the fuck, I guess. Not as creepy as you, weirdo, but okay. But he leaves, and Laura stays in there. And this is another part. I was like, damn, what the fuck? Because as Piper's sleeping, Laura just hits her in the eye, in her other eye. She just hits the shit out of her, like completely like elbows the shit out of her eye. And so she started screaming, but it was later at night when she did this part. So Andy was again passed out, and again, there's a reason he's passed out so hard, and he's slobbering because that's how passed out he is. So the next morning, he comes downstairs, and Laura's like, oh, here he is. She's like, show him. So Piper turns around and her whole eye is just black and blue. And he's like, what the fuck? Who did this? And she's like, I don't know. But the person was wearing their body spray because Laura had sprayed the Axe body spray all over herself that he usually wears. So even though Piper can't see, she smelled Andy in the room. So she's like, I don't know who it was exactly, but I did smell you. So Laura's trying to paint the picture that, okay, he's getting violent, he's hitting you again. And Piper's like, what do you mean again? She's like, well, your brother had anger issues and he hit you and because his dad hit him. And she's like, what, dad hit you? And she's like, you've never told me any of this. And he's like, you didn't need to know it, but I'm better. I love you. I'm trying to protect you. And we need to get out of here. And Laura's like, oh yeah, you know, twisting the tale. He's mean. He's evil. He's vindictive. Da, 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 da. And they get to a head, and he does get mad to the point. It kind of gave me PTSD, honestly, because he does push her against the wall and punch a hole into the wall. But as again, Piper can't see, so she doesn't see that he didn't hit Laura. He hit the wall. But Laura really hamps it up. She's like, oh my God. Ah. Piper's like, stop it. You need to stop it. So she's like, get out of here. I don't even want to see you. Piper's telling Andy that. She's like, just get out of here. Just leave. So he leaves and he goes to Wendy, who is the social worker. And while he's waiting in the lobby, he sees a missing persons paper, and the missing person is Connor Bird. Remember to edit this after the cantaloupe, around the cantaloupe scene. When they go back, as Laura has Oliver doing the little circles on his forehead, Andy goes back to that paper that he was writing on that's now on the ground with blood splatters on it. But he looks at the paper, and all that's written on there, he did write one word. Bird. That'll come back. So he sees that this child who is missing's name, and he has long hair, and his name is Connor Bird. And he's like, so he takes the missing paper, and he shows Wendy. Also, remember to backtrack this, after they introduce everyone, that Laura's taken their height sizes, and Piper asks if Oliver's smiling, and Oliver's like, that the entire movie. So he's just like, and she's like, is he smiling? And Andy's like, yeah, he's smiling. He looks happy. And that part was kind of funny because he's like, but Laura sees that he just lied to Piper. So she's like, what does he look like? And Laura lies even more, and she's like, well, he has red hair, long red hair, very wavy long red hair. Also edit back to when they are watching the video scenes that night of her daughter, that we do see a little boy with long flowy red hair that was called Oliver. So as Andy is talking to Wendy about all this and says that Laura also has a little boy there named Oliver, she's like, that's her nephew. And yeah, he doesn't live with her. So she doesn't even know that she has this little boy there. And so she's like, well, Laura's very, he's like, I don't even know where you guys found her at. She's like, well, she used to work here. She's like very high level working here at social services and for years, which is kind of creepy because this means that she probably had the files on all these kids on Piper. And so that's how she knew exactly to pick Piper, because Piper was the most like her daughter. Can't remember the daughter's name, but who is most like Katie, her daughter. So he's like, please just come to the house, just look it out, just check it out. So she's like, fine, okay, I'll come check it out. She kind of has to. If there's concerns, you kind of have to go and check things out. In the meantime, uh, Laura's back at the house, and she drops Piper off at this little class. It was kind of interesting. It's a class for the blind. I just thought it was interesting. She just randomly did this because Piper has this big black eye, and of course the teachers are going to ask about it. But she drops her off, and she goes back to the house. And this scene, you guys. Oh, we thought the knife in Oliver's mouth was bad. Yeah. She goes back, and Oliver's hungry, and she keeps telling him, not yet, because there's a certain thing he can eat. That's it. And she keeps telling him, not yet, not yet, not yet. So she goes back to the house. He broke out of his room, and he is eating everything. He has completely destroyed the refrigerator, the cabinets, and he's so hungry. He sees a living person, and she's like, Oliver, stay back. And he's like, whoa, and he goes crazy. He bites the shit out of her arm. And she goes and curls up in the room. Oh my gosh. Again, the sound design and the visuals of this. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy. He eats the wood frame from the table. He eats the table, the wooden table. And I mean, he is chomping down. There are wood splinters going in his mouth. His mouth, remember, is already fucked up from the knife. He is eating wood splinters on top of all that. Then he starts eating his own flesh. He takes the top of his arm, and he literally black swans it, just rips it all and starts eating his own arm. Very disturbing, but shit's getting real, let's just say. And Andy leaves a voicemail for Piper, but of course Laura has Piper's phone, and he leaves a voicemail saying, hey, I'm sorry for everything. I know I did that in the past, but I love you. I do everything for you. Everything I do is for you. And don't trust Laura. She's evil. She's bad. That little boy, he was abducted. Like, he's saying everything. And he said, we're going there now to take care of this. So she knows they're on their way. So she starts deep cleaning. And by the time Wendy gets there, everything looks okay. I think Oliver's like, I don't know where he went. He went off the scene somewhere, probably in the refrigerator with Katie. I don't know. But yes, he is in the refrigerator with Katie. And Wendy's walking around. She's like, oh, this is where they sleep. Oh, that's where he does his workouts. Oh, yeah, this is where we find out what Laura's been doing with Andy's drinks. She has been putting carotene into his drinks to make him pass out, because she pours it all down, and that's why he's been sleeping. That's why he slept, thinking he slept so hard he pissed himself. But remember, she was going to pee on him, and that he slept so hard that he missed her screaming after she got punched. She pours that all down. Wendy comes in. She's checking everything out. Everything actually looks fine. And she's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, we had to check it out. Oh, also, he says he's missing, he noticed this kid running around here too. She shows him the picture, and she's like, I don't know who that is. And as she's like, I don't know who that is, Wendy sees her arm, and she's like, oh, honey, you're bleeding. And Laura just cracks. She doesn't even try to be like, oh, yeah, the chickens got me. The cat scratched me. She's just like, okay, I want to bring my daughter back. I'm bringing Katie back. There's a way to bring Katie back. I just have to do all the ritualistic stuff. I just have to kill Piper. And yeah, if you just want to sit around and help me, we can just like bring Katie back. And she's like, honey, what the fuck is wrong with you? And she's like holding on to her. And she's like, honey, let go, let go. And she's like, let go. So she lets go. And Andy's in the background. He's like, holy shit. Because while they were talking, Andy went to the shed where Katie's body is, and he sees Oliver eating on Katie's body, like completely, like the nose and all this stuff. and his little belly's getting big because he's getting bloated from eating so much. Because if you purge, you know, your body will blow, all that stuff. I know too much about that, but anyway, um, he brings Wendy over and he's like, "You need to see this." And I was so nervous. I was like, "Please let her see it. Please let her see it." She sees it. She's like, "Holy shit, we gotta get out of here." And I'm like, "Hey, things are going good," because she actually saw it. They start running to the car. When Laura, I guess, got in her car and she yeets them, she hits them, and Wendy definitely died on impact. But Andy, this is controversial because I don't see it's a bum out feeling, but I don't see it as that's when the movie sucked, because Andy's laying face down in a puddle and Laura comes over and she holds his face down. The only unrealistic thing about that is that I think he could have over strengthened her in that scene, but he did just get hit by a car, so maybe. But she completely drowns him, and it does in this timeline. And there is a bummed out feeling because it's like we've been following Andy this entire time. Piper's been in the background, Piper's been talked about a lot, but Andy's the one we've been following. He opened up about his dad. We had been basically POV through him the whole time. So it did kind of suck that he is a character that didn't make it to the end. However, my argument with that, because a lot of reviewers are like, that's when I just, you know, I didn't care anymore. Oh, this movie killed off their main character. What's been a huge issue with shows like Stranger Things or movies where there's a lot of high stakes in them? Mostly Stranger Things, because that's the main thing that I can think of. Because, yes, some people, some characters do die in Stranger Things, but have any of the main characters died? No. And what's been a big complaint about it is they won't take that pool. They won't actually kill one of the main characters. This movie did. They killed off the main character, the person we thought was the main character. I thought it took a lot of guts to do that, and I thought it made it really interesting. Because if they hadn't, that could be everybody's complaint still. Like, oh, they just never. We already know Andy's safe. That's the thing. It's like sometimes these movies get so comfortable, and it's like, oh, we know this person's safe, so there's no reason to worry to the end about him. I liked it. I thought it was a neat little twist that they actually killed off the person we thought was going to be the main character, the main protagonist to end up being in the end. But, so he dies, and Laura goes to pick up Piper, and again, a teacher, like I said, did say, "Hey, Laura, we'd like to ask about Piper's eye." And she's like, "Not now!" Because it's crunch time. It's raining, the pool's filling up, so she has to kill, because according to the tapes, you have to kill the person the exact same way the person you want to be brought back passed. So her daughter drowned, so she has to drown Piper. So she grabs Piper, and so she's in crunch time. She's like, "I ain't got time to talk to you." So she goes to do that, to go drown her. And she's still kind of like, no, let's see. She eventually tells Piper, like, oh no, she's still trying to play it like, oh, well, you know, Andy's just crazy, sorry about all that, blah, blah, blah. But Piper starts feeling this off feeling, and she's like, Andy wouldn't just leave me like that. So Laura's like, "Are you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go to the bathroom real quick." And eventually, I can't remember, she hears Andy's voice saying, "Piper." And so she goes to find where Andy is, and it's just Oliver standing there. And so she goes over and she touches Oliver, and she touches his head, and she realizes this person I'm touching is bald. They don't have hair. So Laura goes in there and she's like, "Who is this?" Piper's like, "Who is this?" And she's like, "That's just Oliver." And she's like, "You said Oliver had long red hair." So she knows Andy was right the whole entire time. So she bolts out of there, and she locks herself into a room, and she finds Andy's corpse. But at first, she doesn't know who it is. She just finds the corpse and she starts feeling. And Andy had braces. So as she gets to the mouth of this corpse, she feels the braces. So she knows it's Andy. And he had 2 missing fingers because this explains a lot. This explains why Oliver made that cat sound after eating the cat's tail. This is why Andy saw his dad after Oliver ate the dad's hair. So now Oliver ate Andy's fingers and he was able to mimic Andy's voice. Interesting. I kind of hope they mention that more because this does take place in the same universe as Talk to Me. So maybe they'll explain more with more films coming out. But I just love this film completely. But eventually she gets Piper. She starts to drown her. And Oliver goes into the water because he's waiting to what has to happen, she has to drown her in the same way, and then Oliver had to eat the corpse, and by doing that he has the possession in him, and then he has to vomit the possession into Piper's mouth in order for Katie to be in Piper's body so Laura could have her daughter back. Well, she's drowning Piper and Oliver's waiting, and Piper is fighting the whole time, but she yells "Mama" in the middle of being drowned, and something about it just snaps in Laura, and I think it sounded like Katie, but it only did that. I think that was a hallucination, honestly. And she realizes what she's doing. She realizes what she's doing is wrong, and she realizes that's all she wanted was just to hear her daughter call her mom one more time. Maybe that's what she said. She said mom, and she just wanted to hear that one more time. So she starts crying, and she lets Piper go. And Oliver gets really mad about this because, he's the little demon form, but he ends up crossing over the white powdered line and convulses, throws up. He does end up throwing up the demon because it had to come out whether Piper was dead or not. So it all comes out. He crosses over the line and he's kind of escaping. And as he's escaping, he looks up and Piper gets picked up by some some drivers. So she gets in the car and she escapes. Laura and so he is escaping as well. He gets pretty far into the forest when the cops find him and they're like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "I'm Connor Bird." And they're like, "What the fuck?" Because this kid has been missing for a minute. And homeboy has fucked up teeth. He's gonna need all the fucking dental work in the fucking world. I don't even know if Connor Bird felt the pain of all that. Oh, I don't even know. He'll feel it when he has to get fixed. I swear to God, they're gonna have to Novocaine, anesthetic, shoot him with the tranquilizer. Just, oh my God. That was a lot of teeth work, and I have nightmares of like losing my teeth all the time. You guys don't know me, but my family and friends know I go to the dentist often. I refuse to have teeth like brought out of my mouth, so like teeth stuff just freaks me out. But Laura is holding Katie's corpse and she curls up next to it. I think she got stabbed at one point. I can't remember. But yeah, even if she didn't get stabbed when and Oliver bit her, she opens up the wound, and I think she just bleeds out. And then it ends with the cops finding her holding Katie's body. I love this film. It was very obviously dark, very messed up, very bizarre, but in the end, I really think, like I said, I kind of feel for Laura because, she lost her daughter, so she's not a great person. I do think we don't know how she found the tapes. And I think there is a website that another YouTuber named Amanda mentioned that there's like a whole link of a pretend dark web thing where it shows these tapes, and we don't know how she got the tapes or how she figured it out because they're VHS tapes, which reminded me of The Ring, and I'm like, what year are we in? But but she's just a mom who missed her child, you know. And I'm weird. I find horror stories to be telling maybe a different story. That's why it's like it's really up to you, and that's the beauty of writing books or making movies. When you release it, it's like releasing your little baby you created out into the world, and it's up to other people's interpretations. And so my interpretation is she's just a very sad mother who missed her daughter, and she came across a cult like way to bring her daughter back. And some people will go to that extreme. I hope I never have to even know because I don't ever want to do that. As some of you know, if you watch my trying to conceive playlist, I did have a miscarriage, and there is a part of you that feels that you would do anything you could to make that pain go away. So, um, but it was a really good film. I really liked it. Very proud that these were just YouTubers that are making great films. It reminds me of Jordan Peele making his own horror stuff. Like, that's great. So if you guys liked Bring Her Back, and if you caught on to any other little things that I may have missed, please let me know. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe. I have one more film I'm going to be reviewing.